what's happening, guys. Today we've got the Vinsik Quick Charge Power Bank, 20,000 milliamp hours, or so it claims. Now I've been wanting a big power bank, so I found this one on the old eBay. I think I paid about $30 for it, right in that area, and we'll see what she's got, what she's made of. So in the box we get the power bank, a USB micro charge cable, the user manual, returns and exchanges, and a contact sheet. So let's get that out of the way. Now the reason I picked this particular power bank, other than its supposed 20,000 milliamp hour capacity, is that it's USB-C chargeable and USB-C output, so that should be pretty nice. You can see it also has the Quick Charge 3 port on it, and if you touch here it tells you the charge percentage, and it's showing 71% charged out of the box. So all in all, pretty nice. This is very slick. Input 5 volts to 9 volt, 2 amp. Output 1.5 volt at 2.4 amp, 2.5 volt at 2.4 amp, 3.5 volt at 2.4 amp, 9 volt at 2 amp, 12 volt at 1.5 amp. Okay, I find it odd that none of these say 5 volt output, considering that's what we're all looking for. But okay, we'll see how she goes. So first up, here is a Samsung charger. This is 5 volt, 2 amp output, and I've got the USB monitor on it and a Type C USB cable to charge it, so we can plug her in and see what happens when we plug her in for a charge. All right, let's let me grab my remote control here and we can zoom in. There we go. So it's charging 5.41 volts at 2.04, 2.03 amp. Don't worry, we're not going to go through a whole thing here watching this charge. I just wanted to see what kind of charge it would take from this. So it's pulling pretty good there. That's from the Type C cable. All right, let's see what happens, or if there's any difference with a standard USB micro cable. So about the same. No real difference there whatsoever. I didn't know if I really expected any or not, but I just wanted to see what the effect of the different cables to charge it would be. All right, next up, let's bring in the adjustable electronic load. Okay, that's interesting. And and see what kind of load we can get out of her. Let's zoom in. So there's a 1/2 amp. There's 1 amp, and at 1 amp it's dropped to 4.97 volts. That is not 100% pleasing, I should say. All right, let's take her up to 1.5 amps. 4.95 volts. Take her up to 2. Look at that, at 2 amps it's completely shit the bed. 4.88. Let's see where the point is where it really drops off here. Alright, so at 1.6 we're still in spec barely. 1. Right around 1.67 amps seems to be the maximum output for its standard USB port. Wow. Very disappointing. Alright, let's try it with the quick charge port. Start cranking her up here. There we are, a little over 1 amp. It's better already. It's at 5.06. Take her up to about 1.5 amps. 5.04, very nice. Now this is where the other one dropped off, and you can see here, this one is still holding on very nicely at 5.03. Take her up to about 2 amp. Still holding very nice at 5 volts. Now let's take it up to 2.2 amp, which is your standard charging current. Still holding very nicely. And then let's see how far she'll go. Look at that, at 3 amps. Still holding in spec. 3.3, still in spec. 3.5 amp, and we've lost it. So up to 3.3 amp, the quick charge port can definitely output a necessary and useful current. So let's try the USB-C as an output. Alright, I've been playing around with this for a minute, trying to figure out how I can get a reading of the output from the USB-C. This should be pulling about 1/10 of an amp, but it's not lighting up the LED there. And here comes a train. So if I bring in a meter, I should be able to read the 5 volts between these 2 points here. And as you can see, I am not reading anything at all. So it doesn't appear, at least in my eyes, that we're getting a USB-C output. But that's okay, I guess, because I mean everything else seems to work, although not quite as is spec'd in the manual, because if we look here, you guys can read that. It says quick charge output. That one was good. That one went as far as I could test it. Now the standard USB output says 5 volts at 2.4 amps, and we found it dropped out of spec at 1.6 or so amps. And Type-C USB output, it doesn't appear to be any Type-C USB output. So the last test will be to charge this thing up, discharge it and charge it, and we'll see what happens there. Stay tuned. Right here is my discharge setup. If you guys can see that, it is outputting through the standard USB port at a 0.5 amp constant current. So we'll see what happens from there. I will report back when it's over. Okay, so I ran it down to 20%, and then I recharged it, as you can see, back to 100%, and this is the amount of charge it took: 10,900 milliamp hours. So a little bit of math tells us that it is not the claimed 20,000 milliamp hours capacity, but in fact 13,625 milliamp hours. Somewhat disappointing. You know, it's a little over half of what they claim. So that, combined with the poor output of the USB 2 port, the zero output of the USB-C port, I have to give this thing a thumbs down. I would definitely not recommend it. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Feel free to comment, share. Thanks for subscribing. I'm out. Peace.